It all happened one summer on what could have been just a normal night. My brother's two friends were sleeping over, so my mom and I decided to get a pizza to make it easy to feed everyone. My mom and I decided to get the pizza from a popular pizza chain in Arizona called Fired Pie. We all decided that we would take the pizza to go and eat it at home, and we brought my brother's friends and our dog, a husky named Frosty, with us to pick up the pizza. The reason we didn't leave Frosty at the house was that he was still young and very destructive when left alone. But it turned out that bringing Frosty with us meant more than just not having to buy new blinds or shoes. When we arrived at Fired Pie, I didn't want to get out of the car because I was feeling very lazy, but my mom and my brother didn't want to leave me alone in the car. But since Frosty couldn't go inside the restaurant anyway, he stayed in the car with me and I convinced them that I would be fine. The place where we parked was very dark, and I was in the back seat with Frosty, partially almost lying down and scrolling on my phone. Suddenly, Frosty started to whine and then barked a few times. At first, I thought he was being paranoid because he was little and felt trapped in the car. I just patted him on the back and that calmed him down a little. But then he started to bark aggressively at me and I was taken aback. I shifted over to pet Frosty again when the reflection of my phone in the side view mirror caught my eyes. As I looked over at the mirror, I saw something terrifying. In the reflection, I could see a man wearing a black hoodie and ski mask staring right at me. I screamed and turned around and saw that man was trying to open the door. Thankfully, it was locked. He then screamed, "Open up the door!" I was so scared. I was only 14 at that time and didn't know how to react or what to do. Frosty stepped on me as he was barking at the man and I came back to reality. I realized that if I didn't do something quickly, then something bad would happen. I gathered up some courage and told the man to go away and that I would call the cops if he didn't. Suddenly, everything got very quiet. He seemed to have left and I looked around and didn't see anyone around. So I got out of the car with my dog and started running towards the restaurant. But as I was running, someone grabbed me and I tried to scream, but my mouth was covered by a cloth. The last thing I saw was my dog running to the restaurant and then I blacked out. I woke up in a hospital and my body felt achy and like I'd been thrown around. I looked around and saw my mom and my brother, who seemed very concerned about me. I then asked them what had happened. They told me that Frosty came running to the restaurant and was noticed by the waiters at the door. When my mom and brother saw Frosty, they were very scared as they knew something must have happened. They ran to the parking lot and saw that I wasn't in the car. My mom called the cops and then Frosty suddenly started barking at a shady-looking van nearby. My brother and his friends circled the van to look inside, and they saw blood on the back door of the van. They found the back of the van and found me, tightly tied up with ropes. Suddenly, the attacker came around the van with a knife, and I can only guess that he was looking for more victims. When my brother saw the man holding a knife, he immediately attacked him out of anger, while his friends came from behind him and held back his arms and took the knife. Meanwhile, my mother was trying to get the ropes off of me. Later, the police arrived and stopped the fight, then arrested the attacker while I was transported to the hospital. The investigation later revealed that the man was a sex offender, drug dealer, and a human trafficker. He was most likely planning to kidnap and sell me. I'm so thankful to Frosty, and to this day, I still wonder what would have happened if we decided to leave him at the house. Most likely, I wouldn't be here to tell you this story.
I used to work as a waitress from 1990 to 1991 as a part-time job while I was completing my associate degree in business. Although I made friends at my job, I didn't really like it because I was only getting paid $7.25 an hour. Every day went the same exact way, except one day would stick with me until the day I vanished from this earth. I was working one night and I saw a dusty couple along with a teenage girl enter the restaurant. I sat them down at the table. As they all sat down, the girl accidentally pushed her fork off the table. I picked it up for her, and as she took it from me, she grabbed my hand pretty firm while taking the fork from me. I didn't think too much of it at first, and just continued my shift. I came by near the table again when I was on my way to grab someone's food, and the girl again dropped her fork. I thought it must have been a coincidence, and I gave it back to her, and she took the fork again from me, and also squeezed my hand again, though this time it was more firm. I walked by their table 2 more times, and both times she would also drop her fork. And both times, I picked it up for her, and she would squeeze my hand both times, but after every squeeze, it felt tighter and tighter each time as she did it. Now I knew she was doing it intentionally. Something had to have been wrong. but it was hard to tell at that very moment. Not too much later, they eventually finished their meals and all three of them had left the restaurant. I went over to their table to clean it, and as I picked up the plate, I saw that there was a napkin under the plate, and it had words on it, and it said, "Help me, call the police." My mind was now racing with dark thoughts. Was this girl kidnapped? Was she trying to escape her captors? Who were those people that she was with? It was so hard to process what was going on. The whole week I thought about this girl. I felt so bad for not realizing the situation she was actually in. It kept hitting me like a bullet. The more I thought about her, I made a very disturbing resemblance. That girl, she looked so familiar. That's when I connected the dots. I recognized this girl to be a missing person for years now. It had to be none other than Antoinette Cadito. Her whole face and body physique matched her description. Every night before I go to bed, I always remember that encounter. I kept feeling like I was the worst person in the world. I should have picked up on her hints that she was in trouble. I could have ended her suffering of being kidnapped, and I could have helped return her to her loved ones. Antoinette's mother, Penny, had died in 1999 due to cardiac and liver issues. Now that I think about this case more, I strongly believe that her mother had something to do with her disappearance. She had to have sold her daughter. Every interview, she didn't look concerned with her daughter being abducted and held against her will. I feel sick to my stomach every time I think about this. It is still unknown where Antoinette is as of today. This mystery has never been solved. Although law enforcement officials and I believe she is deceased, she is still listed as a missing person. I just really hope that wherever Antoinette is today, that she has found peace, and I hope that she is no longer living a life of pain.